following program is brought to you by the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. The League of Women Voters is a national, nonpartisan organization established to encourage citizen participation in government. It never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. The statements and opinions of the candidates are presented in the interest of public service and in no way are to be construed as endorsement thereof by the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters takes no responsibility for any of the views or facts stated by the candidates.
Good evening and welcome to this forum for the West Bloomfield Township election. Today is July 19, 2016. This forum will be featuring those candidates who have filed for supervisor for the Township of West Bloomfield. The League of Women Voters, Oakland area, is the sponsor. I am Jerry Burden, president of the League of Women Voters. I'm not a resident of this district. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate or political party, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this. It has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. If you're interested in learning about how you can become a member, I would encourage you to pick up some of the League information available here tonight or check our website at lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters does not endorse or support any political party or candidate. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the sponsors take no responsibility. The format for this forum has been established by the League of Women Voters. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices. The only photography permitted are those of the media. We ask the candidates answer the questions with their views only and not interrupt another candidate. The candidates will be answering questions that are submitted by the audience and screened for duplication and appropriateness by John McGarry, a League member. Pages will be circulating with cards and pencils. If you have a question, raise your hand. They'll provide you with a card and a pencil to write your question. The format is as follows. We'll begin with the candidates for supervisor from now until 6:45. Candidates will be given 1 minute for opening statements in alphabetical order. Closing statements will be 1 minute in reverse order. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation unless time is extended by the moderator. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer the questions. Our timer is Judy Bateman, a League member. The candidates for supervisor are Stephen Kaplan, Democrat. Sam Logan Khaleghi, Democrat. Vote for one, a 4-year term. We will begin a 1 minute opening statement with Mr. Kaplan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for attending, everybody. My name is Steve Kaplan. It's my honor to have served on the Township Board for the last 12 years. I've held various jobs in government since 1979, including law clerk to a circuit judge, staff attorney to a Court of Appeals judge, staff attorney to a federal judge. I've worked as a prosecuting attorney for 26 years. I had the honor of serving on the Southfield School Board for 8 years, and I'm very proud of my family. I'm married to Lisa. Lisa's very active in the school district and in the West Bloomfield area. We have 2 daughters, both of whom graduated from West Bloomfield High School. They're both doing very well, and the best aspect of my 2 daughters is they resemble my wife, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khaleghi.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction, my name is Sam Logan Khaleghi, the officially endorsed Democrat by the West Bloomfield Lakes area Democrats, and I am proud and elated to have that endorsement. It's the local club that also represents your local Democratic Party. West Bloomfield, for me, represented also the American dream. Before I earned my master's degree in communication management, I was a product of West Bloomfield schools, and I'm also thrilled to be surrounded by neighbors, fellow West Bloomfield Lakers, and I also thank the League of Women Voters for allowing us this forum tonight. West Bloomfield, since 1833, has had a brilliant heritage of being a gem of a community in northern Oakland County for families who really want to see their community accentuate. And right now, I want to thank you for your consideration for being your candidate on August 2nd, and I hope for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Now is the time for questions, and we will start our first question with Mr. Kaplan. West Bloomfield Township is known for its woodlands and wetlands. How do you intend to protect those areas while promoting necessary development of businesses and communities?
Well, West Bloomfield has been very progressive. We're one of the leaders in the state. We've had this woodland and wetland ordinances since the 1970s. We have very conscientious, proactive people serving on our environmental board. In fact, one of our trustees, Diane Swimmer, is the liaison of that board. In terms of developments and redevelopments, the Planning Commission and the Township Board have been very vigilant in ensuring that wetlands and woodlands are protected. And we have an educational program. We attempt to inform developers and redevelopers that the wetlands and woodlands must be maintained. As you know, we have 28 lakes in West Bloomfield. It's a fabulous place to live, and one of the reasons is because of our sound environmental and attractive environmental features.
Thank you, Mr. Khaleghi.
Can you restate that?
Same question.
Do you mind?
West Bloomfield is known for its woodlands and wetlands.
Okay.
How do you intend to protect these areas while promoting necessary development of business and communities?
So one of my dreams here in West Bloomfield, and it is a very beautiful and gem of a community because of our lakes and woodland areas, is to see a business community that is amalgamated and thrives alongside the natural element of our aesthetic. I'd love to see a downtown West Bloomfield. And we are seeing something along the lines of that with the beautiful world-class corridor that our clerk, Kathy Shaughnessy, and trustees like Dr. Howard Rosenberg have been working diligently and hard every day to promote. I want to continue to solicit and promote and develop that property, and also take our necessary steps to continue to develop businesses that can attract and bring families here to West Bloomfield and help our local economy and infrastructure, but at the same time respect and highlight the beauty of our natural element. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Khaleghi. Being that a township should be run like a business, have you ever been in a business where you have interacted with employees, negotiated contracts, etc.?
Yes, immediately, actually. I am an executive of an ad agency locally, in addition to being an executive producer of a very popular Emmy-winning television show on ABC nationally. We employ almost 500 people, numerous unions. I work directly with the unions for labor contracts, labor negotiations. This past summer, managed a $5 million budget on a television series that we shot here locally, but also worked on multi-million-dollar contracts with stakeholders that represent General Motors, Ford Motor Company, McDonald's, the Pure Michigan Campaign, Safe Haven, Women's Shelter of Ann Arbor. And the key there with management is learning how to manage teams to achieve a consensus together, which is what I look and hope to bring to the Township Board, a consensus, a dialogue, a communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
At the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, where I worked for 24 years, I had administrative responsibilities. But my administrative beginning started at my dad's hardware store. My dad and his brother opened a hardware store in Wayne, Michigan in 1957. Very small store, and it expanded. And at one time they had 60 employees. So I was a manager while I was attending school, and what my dad told me is you have to work twice as hard as everybody because you're related to the owner. So I know I treated people well because I still see employees from time to time who worked at the hardware store way back, and it's always good to see them. I served as president of the Southfield School Board between 1990 and 1992. And during that time, our superintendent, Carl Hassel, retired, and we had an interim superintendent, Lyle Pushman. So I was involved then, which is unusual for a school board president, in contract negotiations. I was involved in dealing with some personnel issues, and I believe I treated everybody fairly.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Kaplan. What do you think are the biggest problems facing the township currently?
Well, one is the funding. The funding has to be there. The Township Board has done an excellent job in terms of maintaining funding. We have a very sound fund equity balance. We're not in any danger, any risk of having state takeover or having state intervention. But as long as we spend wisely, and we have some very sharp people on the township board, including a certified public accountant in Larry Brown, they watch what we spend. As I said, the fund equity balance is strong, and we're maintaining our fire department and police department at high levels. We have approximately 95 firefighters. We have 79 active police officers. And what the community wants, first and foremost from a municipality, is strong public safety. And I think we've obtained that.
Thank you. Mr. Khaleghi.
Strong public safety is something that I have to give credit to the police chief and fire chief and the men and women that wear the uniform every day and risk their lives for our community. However, what they do need and what they are hoping for is strong executive leadership, someone who can listen to them, someone who will show up. The position of township supervisor is a full-time commitment, full-time. That means showing up to the meetings, not missing a majority of them, making sure that you listen, bring people to consensus, dialogue, communication. The spiritual health of the community, I think, is one of the most important things that we're suffering through right now. You know, we had a little case a few months back with Welcoming Cities that spurred, in addition to the adverse publicity that certain people in executive leadership have, well, to say the least, lacked. I look forward to bringing that consensus and working together to dialogue and communicate, not just with the residents, the stakeholders, the business owners, and the men and women that protect this township every day, so that we can accentuate, thank you, so that we can accentuate appropriately to a proper West Bloomfield, and the West Bloomfield that we all live, dream, and currently want to reside in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Khaleghi. Yeah. Do you support diversity in our community? If so, please share how you have or plan to address this issue.
Well, if I were sitting on that seat, I would definitely have voted for Welcoming Cities. I'm an executive committee member of the United We Walk activity with my alma mater, West Bloomfield. Go West Bloomfield Lakers. I am a proud product, not just of immigrant parents, but I myself am an immigrant to this nation. So in addition of all the endorsements that I've received by the Rotary Club, the president of the Optimist Club, the Democrats here locally, I think one of the things they've all recognized is that we want to see diversity on this board, again, to help spiritually uplift and take this community forward. Someone who's going to represent and recognize their voices. We all think differently. We all look differently. We all have different backgrounds, speak different languages, different religions. But our faith, our core faith, is one the same, and that is the Commonwealth of West Bloomfield. And we want to see that taken to the next step, and we are at a precipice today, August 2nd, 2016. Please help me accentuate the value of this community and our spiritual health to promote diversity here in West Bloomfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan.
Well, everyone running for office is in favor of diversity. I've achieved it in my career. The Township Board has 4 minorities on the Planning Commission, 3 on the Environmental Commission, and 1 on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I know all 7 of us have strived to increase minority representation. You might know that the Diversity Committee was created in January 2016. I made the motion. Of course, all the board members were in favor. We're one of the few communities to have a Diversity Committee. Now, as a prosecutor in Macomb County, I was involved in recruiting black assistant prosecutors. I attended the National Black District Attorneys Association every year, and we had probably 6 black prosecutors in the late 1980s. And as Southfield School Board president, I was instrumental in our hiring the first female superintendent in Oakland County history.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Kaplan. What experience do you have in working with local community groups, i.e. law enforcement, fire department, etc.?
Well, as a prosecuting attorney, obviously I had interaction almost daily with police officers and frequently with firefighters. All of us who hold office at the township level are active in the various groups. And so, all of us do have community involvement. I think in order to run for office, and I think in order to hold office, you need to be active in the community. The public expects to know their elected officials, whether it's township level, county commissioner level. So I, like the rest of my colleagues on the board, we are active in the community.
Thank you. Mr. Khaleghi.
Thank you. I'm a membership chair for the Rotary Club of West Bloomfield. I'm a product of West Bloomfield High School, and so therefore I am thrilled to be able to tell the audience here that I am the founder of the West Bloomfield Student Film Festival alongside Rabbi Cohen over at Frankel Jewish Academy and West Bloomfield High School, my counterparts. I also happen to be a Tuskegee Airmen Group member, active West Bloomfield optimist every Tuesday morning, where I get to see our lovely men in uniform, as well as our local stakeholders attend for coffee and breakfast and discussion of community events. One of the things I want to isolate and point out here is that it takes more than just joining these organizations and saying that you're a member of these organizations on your literature. You actually have to be a member of these organizations. That's why I am proud to say that I am endorsed by the president of the Rotary Club as well as the president of the Optimist Club, because I'm an active community leader, and I have been since I was about 13 years old. So,
Thank you. Next step question, we will start with Mr. Khaleghi.
yes.
What is your position on the four-county rapid transit millage? What role does a modern rapid transit system play in the economic and social health of a community?
Now, as I've gone door to door, I do recognize some of the thought processes of certain individuals that have identified that there might be certain problems. However, one of the things that I would like to identify also is that all our Oakland County neighbors are going to be adopting mass transit. And if we invite that here in West Bloomfield, we will elevate our local economy, help build our infrastructure, bring diverse thought, bring diverse theory, bring new business here to West Bloomfield, help promote and develop local jobs, and I'd like to stand by that, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan.
I am proud to be a member of a council or township board that supports public transit. We have SMART Bus is wonderful. We have handicapped individuals living in our township who can't drive. We have senior citizens who don't drive, and it's fabulous that we do participate. One of the mockeries of it is that there are communities that have opted out. So the bus stops here. It doesn't take you all the way. What can we do as a township board other than to encourage our other municipalities to be part of the program? Well, we lead by example, and we have.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Kaplan. What are your thoughts on code enforcement and property maintenance?
Well, code enforcement is very important to a community because if you don't have it, you might have an abundance of blight. So certainly we have a very well-trained, experienced code enforcement division. In fact, one of our code enforcement officers is a retired Lieutenant Diamond from West Bloomfield. But code has to be enforced in a gentle, gingerly way. We don't want to make our residents misdemeanors. We don't want to charge them with misdemeanors for violating code. Our officers know. They know how to approach a neighbor and say, that car's been in the driveway way too long, your grass is extremely high, or other blight. So we have to be kind to our residents because they support us, we work for them, and we can't be draconian and drastic in enforcing our codes.
Thank you. Mr. Khaleghi.
The aesthetic of West Bloomfield is very important and is a big part of what allows us to be great neighbors, is taking care of our own property, businesses taking care of their property. Indeed, I would not want to see dilapidated properties here in West Bloomfield. And while I think code enforcement is very important, and as a resident of West Bloomfield and local businessman, I'd like to see my fellow neighbors look forward to developing their properties to reach that appropriate aesthetic that we can all share and enjoy and not be an eyesore. I also want to point out that one of the biggest gripes that I'm hearing from the people out there in the field is that there is indeed a draconian way that is instituted sometimes by certain individuals on certain properties due to, well, personal gripes against one individual against another individual. We have to remember that here in West Bloomfield, we are all neighbors. I also believe in property rights and the right for you to enjoy your own property the way you want to. Let me just put it this way, and not to be too comical, but I don't think you need to have a permit to put a mezuzah up on your door or a repair permit for your local sidewalk if you want to help. Oh, yes.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Mr. Khaleghi.
Yes.
Does the County Economic Board help all communities within the county? How is it funded? How do they determine which political unit receives funding?
Well, I can answer that by saying this. I look forward to working with everyone at the county level with appropriate communication, appropriate correspondence, appropriate language on a day-to-day basis so that we can achieve here in West Bloomfield as a township. While I recognize we are not a city, we are a township, and we look to the county to help us accentuate those values, to help build our core commonwealth just as much as we want to. But they're going to need someone and a team to bring the appropriate executive leadership that they need so that they can hear what we're looking for, come here to the table, and that we can share in our ideas with one another, because there are a lot of elected officials at the county level that are also running for office, that also sometimes, well, live in West Bloomfield. So I look forward to working with them and reminding them that we are all neighbors, that we all live in the same county, and help build each other's infrastructure properly. And that, yes, what I'm getting to is fix our roads, but also fix our traffic and fix the way we talk to one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kaplan.
The county, through county commissioners, funds economic development. Now, one key for a municipality, and I think we've accomplished this, is we've maintained good relationships with elected officials. Marcia Gershenson attends many of our meetings, so does Michael McCready, and John Scott did attend meetings. These are all county commissioners. And by having open dialogue, having a good relationship, rapport with our county commissioners, it enables us to be able to call them, to share with them our concerns, and they've been responsive to us.
Next question, we will start with Mr. Kaplan, and we'll give you an easy one for a bit. Do you support no reason absentee ballots for all voters?
Yes, and that's the trend. Within 10 years, voters will be able to vote by absentee ballot for no reason at all. As a practical aspect, we do now. The voter just has to check the box that he expects to be out of town, unavailable, not in the township during election. But we should make it easier for people to vote. We want to have maximum voting turnouts. In some countries, the level is at 95%, like France and England. People are voting at a high level. In West Bloomfield, it might be 78%, 80% in a presidential election. But anything we could do to make it easier for people to vote, to make it easier for them to be at the ballot box, I favor it. I'm sure my colleagues on the board do also.
Thank you. Mr. Khaleghi.
Well, I appreciate and love and personally will experience the tradition of going there on vote day, primarily not just to vote for all the people that I care about, but also to get one of those lovely stickers with the little flag. What I want to point out is that West Bloomfield, with regards to local elections, as well as other communities, have incredibly small voter turnout. One of the reasons is you have an aging population, a working population with large family. When you have 4 kids, preschool, middle school, and you're trying to balance all that as a working mother, you can't always make it to the poll at a certain time. And voting is a right that we all have. So indeed, I would definitely support the opportunity to express your voice and promote expressing your voice through that means. Absolutely.
Thank you. I have a follow-up to the original question. And we'll start with Mr. Khaleghi. Do you support West Bloomfield participation in welcoming cities? Why or why not? This would be a follow-up to that earlier question.
Well, again, as an immigrant to this nation who sought the American dream here in West Bloomfield, proud West Bloomfield Laker, and someone who, found myself being a community leader, Democratic leader, and also a local business owner in West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield is a diverse population of beautiful people, not just a gem of a community because of the aesthetics of our natural environment, but because of the aesthetics of all of us when we look around one another. Absolutely, I would. Absolutely. I think that diversity is what helps a community take the necessary steps to grow spiritually, physically, elementally, but also practically. If we want to live in a West Bloomfield that we all dream of, can you imagine that? Can you imagine a downtown West Bloomfield? Can you imagine this corridor that our lovely trustees and clerk has put together? Can you imagine individuals of different shapes, colors, and sizes and languages crashing into one another and being able to dialogue with one another, communicate with one another the way we should be communicating with one another on the board? I can imagine that. So, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
The issue has appeared before the Township Board twice. By consent agenda, we approved welcoming cities, counties. We're the only municipality in Oakland County that is a member. There was a second vote, and I was on the negative end on that, and I regret that vote. And it was a meeting where we had over, and Mr. Brown remembers, he and I were the voters on that, and we still have welcoming cities. I regret that vote because I think it's symbolic. I think it's very important for us not only to talk and say we agree We do, though, and I've shown that in my career as prosecutor, school board president, working at my dad's store, that I do believe in diversity. I did make the motion to create the diversity committee. The meeting where Mr. Brown and I considered rescinding the Welcoming Cities was very contentious. We had over 100 people opposing it, not understanding what we actually represent. In fact, I would go one step farther. I think through the budget we should fund the Welcoming Cities. In this way we can publicize and we can do more than just having taken a position. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be the last question prior to closing remarks. We'll start with Mr. Kaplan. What will you do to be and support diplomacy and diplomatic behavior on the board?
West Bloomfield, since 1975, has been very contentious throughout the 41 years. And we are known in some communities, along with Warren and Independence Township, as being rather feisty. But I will say this. Most of our votes are 7-0. I'd say 97% of the votes that the board cast, we are in unanimity. There has been some contention in the board. I have to take responsibility. I'm one of the 7 board members. So if it appears that we don't get along all the time, I'm 1/7 the problem. But I think all of us here who are running would like to have diplomacy and decorum, and certainly West Bloomfield Township residents would rather have business conducted than to have people disputing among themselves at a board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Khaleghi.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, as well as to those out there in Civic Center TV land, we are at a precipice. We are at a precipice here in West Bloomfield. For day in and day out, year in and year out, throughout my life in West Bloomfield, I've heard stories of chaos after despotism and chaos after despotism and with the leadership in Town Hall. But it is truly time to make a change. We have great people on this board, indeed. We have great people who want to see positive things happen in our community. We have great employees, union employees. We have great servicemen, both our police and fire. What they want is leadership. Leadership means listening. Leadership means not prosecuting them or interrogating them. Leadership means opening up one's ear, not just to the residents, but also the people that work there hard, day in and day out around you. Leadership means being there morning till night. Leadership means recognizing that it is a full-time position. How do you achieve that consensus? Show up. You must show up. This is an elected office that requires a full-time candidate willing to give full time to his office. And I'm willing to give full time to each and every one of you, overtime if necessary. And I look forward to communicating dialogue to receiving that consensus and achieving it together. Thank you.
Thank you. And now is the time for the closing remarks, and we'll start in reverse order with Mr. Khaleghi.
Well, a little feisty there in a positive way. But again, West Bloomfield is indeed, again, a gem of a community. I cannot stress this enough. And I am looking out to the people out there in Civic Center TV land, and I am asking, we have a very low voter turnout on August 2nd. It's not about just coming out on November and voting Democrat. It's about recognizing what you want in this community. What do you want? How do you want to be represented? Who do you want to be sitting up there at the board listening to you? Do you want someone to be filling that seat? Do you want to make sure that when you're coming there to town hall meetings, that that seat is actually full? That there is a physical person sitting down in that seat? Well, can you imagine the West Bloomfield that I explained here before you today? Can you imagine a candidate that is willing to sacrifice every hour and minute of his day to the township that he loves and is so passionate about? Well, you don't have to imagine so much more than look right here at me, because I'm looking to do that for you. I'm not asking you to vote for me, to vote for Sam Logan Khaleghi. I am asking you to vote for West Bloomfield Township and help me, help you, and to help one another as neighbors. We want to take and accentuate the value of this community forward. Thank you.
Mr. Kaplan.
I feel honored and privileged to live in West Bloomfield. I'm just pleased that my family and I had the wherewithal, we had the resources to buy in West Bloomfield and live in West Bloomfield. It's the best community in my view. In terms of my election, I would say that whether you elect Sam Logan, Khaleghi, or me, we will perform competently. Both of us are capable. I have been endorsed by the UAW, AFL-CIO, by the Building Trades of Michigan, by the Oakland County Black Caucus, by Governor Blanchard. So I have many endorsements, but endorsements don't vote. All I can say to you is whether I'm elected or Mr. Logan is elected, we both care about the community, and we want our community to thrive.
Thank you. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the audience, West Bloomfield Civic Center TV, and the candidates for making this forum possible. For further nonpartisan information on the candidates, please check the League of Women Voters website for our voter guide lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters is funded by contributions from businesses and citizens. Our membership is open to men and women over the age of 16. Remember to vote August 2, 2016. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you and good night.